Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, we have the amazing Sheila Seppi, and she is a soul exchange walk-in. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but I want to highlight what's in store in the call today because y'all are going to want to pay attention to this and learn something new that you can utilize right after the call, or maybe even during the call if we go through an experience. So we're going to be talking about how you can address blockages and patterns that are hindering you, how you can gain insight into the root causes of your challenges, and you're going to learn how to visualize your energetic grid. And if you don't know what your energetic grid is, it's not that difficult. It's great to learn this terminology because then it gives you a reference point for something that is totally part of your anatomy that once you have a relationship with can really shift things from a place of shadow or not moving forward into really elevating your life into an essence that is existing within you, ready to be activated and created with. So it's going to be an amazing call today. Sheila will probably take live Q&A. We're going to talk about the holographic grid realignment and so much more. And Sheila, I can read your bio, but it's much better if you tell us what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. And with that, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much. I love being here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Okay, I guess I'll just start with I am a soul exchange walk-in. I'll just tell you just a brief story about that because many of you may already know, but in 1999 and really the 20 years previous to that, I was a very, very sick person. I had been diagnosed with bone cancer, brain tumors, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, sarcoidosis. I walked with a cane. I had erythema nodosum, blah, 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 blah. I had it. Okay. And my body, life, marriage, relationships, job, everything was just going down in the toilet because I was in so much pain. I couldn't focus at work. I had to lay on the couch to play with my kids, and that's no fun. So I was just this sick, sick body. And that's what I remember. Then the next thing I remember is that I went to bed that way. I had recently just been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I had started something called Celebrex. I loved it. It was the greatest thing. I could actually open and close my hands. I felt like, oh, this is giving me my life back. But by the end of the day, I was exhausted. I was zonked out. And so I went to bed this way. And what felt to me like about 7 o'clock the next morning, it felt as if someone reached down, grabbed me by the hair of the head, and pulled me bolt right up in bed. And then it was like lightning ran through my body. And then I was in white space. And I don't know how long I was in white space, but I was out of pain. Woohoo! Number one, I felt all of this unconditional love. I was very relaxed, very calm. And had I had a choice, I know I would have stayed there. Now, some people say, oh, you had a near-death experience. Maybe I did. I don't know. I just know I was in white space and I was out of pain. But the next thing that happened is my peripheral vision started coming in and then my frontal vision. And then as I sat there looking around the room, everything was the same, but everything was very, very different. And as I got up, my feet touched the carpet and it was almost like I had never experienced carpet before because it's like, ooh, squishy, And then as I was walking through the bedroom and I caught my reflection, I just stopped and I was mesmerized and I was just staring in the mirror because it was as if someone else was looking back at me. I didn't even recognize myself. So I'm sitting here, I'm doing my teeth, and I'm looking at my hair, my ears. And I mean, it was the weirdest thing. And so as that like 5 minutes maybe had passed, and then all of a sudden I had these remembrances of like past lives, which is significant because I didn't believe in past lives. I was one of the, I'd never read a metaphysical book. I was, in the Bible Belt. I didn't think anything outside the box. I was in the Western medicine. I thought, oh, yeah, my hands work. Western medicine is great. But then I started having these memories I also started remembering like healing modalities that I had never ever studied. And then I started remembering universal truths, some of them, the holographic grid. It's taken me like literally 23 years to unpack all of that information that was just crammed in there. And at first, it was really difficult because I didn't believe in any of this stuff. So my
Mm,
background was psychology, and I thought I was having a psychotic break. It just made sense to me. But as time went on, I started hearing things. I started seeing things. I knew nothing about being clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant. I had all the clairs. I still have them. But at that point, when they all came in and they all awakened at once, it was like overpowering to the
mm,
senses. Now, because I was a very, very sick person, I entered into a body that had had an Arcturian soul. And when that soul left, there was an energetic framework, which we'll talk about those a little bit later, but there was an energetic framework that was already in place within the holographic grid system of this body. So it was easy just to kind of drip, drip, drip a little bit of new soul information in. So I entered in with more of an Arcturian aspect. Now, when I say that, the reason for that is I came from a collective, and it wasn't like I was on the other side and my number was called and I jumped into a body. It was I was in a collective. And in this collective, I had already been through all of the various experiences and had reunited back with all of my other soul members. So, like, if this is an oversoul, all of these are your multidimensional lives, and you can have hundreds of those. But we had all come back together, and we were in a consciousness form, but we were in the Andromedan system, and there was a cry that came out from Gaia, is all I know. It was a tug, a feeling, a sensation. And we left that system and we came to this planet and we united with other consciousnesses that were already here working on the crystalline grid system of the earth. Now, we came in the early 80s, and this is 1999 when this Arcturian soul cried out to be released because it was done.
mm,
And it was decided by the collective that at that time I would be the aspect that came in. But because I'm still connected to my collective, I'm constantly receiving information and downloads from them. There's tons of transmissions, that are constantly coming in. So it depends on the job that needs to be done as to which energies are more prevalent at that time. So right now, I act more as a fully embodied Andromedan soul, whereas I started out as an Arcturian soul. But people say, "Oh my God, that's so fantastic." And it's like, well, guess what? You guys are all the same because
mm,
we're eternal beings. So, people are like, but why? But why? And it's like, well, forever's a long time.
mm,
Okay, so we want these experiences, and everybody here, you're going to get to add an earthling to your repertoire as part of your soul experiences. And so I came in with that Arcturian aspect, and I began to really work on healing this body. And what the cool thing was, there was enough of that energy that came in that, number one, it did not fry the biology, but it began to rewire the neurology of the
mm,
body. And so, over a period of time, this very sick body started getting healthier and healthier and healthier. What I didn't know at the time is I was instantaneously healed. But the other part of healing, and this is the toughest part for all of us, are those behavioral patterns. You
mm.
know, maybe that chocolate cake that we just have to have, all of those kinds of things. So I really had to focus, and this is Willow, my little wonder dog here, but I really had to start focusing on changing all of my habits, but it was so much easier. Now, living where I did, honestly, because I worked so much, one of the things that would happen is I would swing through and grab fast food for dinner. I didn't know any better. But after the walk in, I couldn't even stand the taste. And
Mm.
everything about me changed. My personality changed from the way that I ate to the way that I dressed to my articulation level. All of my friends and family thought I was crazy because of the memories. And I'm like, hey, did you know? And I got this memory, and that song reminds me of when the soul slips out of the body, or oh, that's when we get anchored into the body. And so it was really an odd time for me and odd for everyone around me. And there's not one person that knew me that did not notice all of the vast changes. So much so that my mom actually sat me down to have a conversation. And she wanted me to go back to a doctor because she thought I had the beginning stages of Alzheimer's.
Mm.
So, and the reason for that is when I came in, I only came in with a few memories from the previous soul that was in the body. And so, because of that, I would have to fake knowing family or knowing friends when I really had no idea who they were. And it wasn't until about 6 months later, the first 3 months, I actually left the marriage I was in. In the next 3 months, I had found my spiritual teacher. And from there, what really anchored me into this body was shamanism. And so I started the practice of shamanism, and that really took me down an avenue that allowed me to connect more fully with my guides. So I was able to start talking to them more directly. And over this whole period of time, everything that I have done has been in the healing arena. And of course, I've got the Conscious Awakening Network, which is also part of my mission, because I thought when they told me I was a way shower, I had to do all that work. So finding that there's other people that can join in was like amazing to me. And then the other amazing thing was the more people that I would work on, the more information would start to come through. And sometimes it was information that I did not even understand. So when they started talking to me about, the photonic fabric of the universe, I'm like, what are you talking about? Or they would say the plasma energies or the morphogenic field or, the holographic matrix. I had no idea what they were talking about. So it literally was an education process for me to even understand the languaging that they were using with me that I have been able to incorporate. And I don't know if I talked to you about the soul reconnection technique that was given to me by part of my collective, the Andromedan, Angelic, and Arcturian aspects, which are
Mm.
a healing team. But they taught me about ley lines that run through the body. And they run left and right, front and back through eternity. And they connect in with every living thing on this planet, which is part of that plasmatic and photonic energy fabric that they were talking to me about. And then they began to talk to me about the bodies. Well, I was taught we have the physical, we have the emotional, we have the mental, and we have our causal bodies. But they're like, no, 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 no. There's so much more to that. And they actually, through that SRT program I was just talking about, they taught me that we have 12 bodies that we work with. So SRT focuses on those ley lines, which are like hundreds of thousands, probably millions of data stream of information. But the holographic grid system is different because that's what makes up all of our holographic fields or our spiritual bodies. And
Mm.
so that is, something that they have really been working with me. And the more that I work with this with my clients, the more people are starting to tell me, some people say, hey, my hip. Oh, I just worked on a lady today. 30-minute session. I worked on her hip 10 minutes. She'd been in pain forever. Her hip pain went away. And
Mm.
she started crying. I started crying. We both were crying. It was one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh, this stuff works so good, you know. but it works differently with everybody. Hers was a physical issue, but sometimes our pain is physical, but it's actually emotional
Well,
because that
how can,
emotional
how can we address that, Sheila? How can we go into, how can we determine if it's one or the other, and how can we address the blockages that actually stop us from getting to the other side of the pain, or the emotions are in the way, or of disturbing energies that are kind of clogging the system?
right. That's a great question because I have to tell you, 100% of every illness has an energetic component.
Mm,
Every one of them. They also have emotional, uh, not just the emotional and energetic, but they have the mental components. Because once we get in pain, then we start processing and sometimes over processing. But one of the ways, what happens for me, the way I work on it, is when I'm working with someone, I actually look at their field and I can kind of get an idea about what's going on and let them know past, present, and future, the emotions involved. Maybe it was a past life, maybe it was a galactic life, because we carry all of that stuff with us. As individuals, we can also tell that information about ourselves. So
mm,
let's use the hip for an example. If you just sit and really drop your consciousness into that hip pain, first off, expressing gratitude, but ask that hip, what do you need? What's going on? All of a sudden these thoughts are going to start entering your mind. And it may be something that you think is totally frivolous, but it's actually not
mm,
because it's energy that's gotten stuck in that hip. Now, sometimes people say, well, especially in my area, because I'm up in the Vail Valley area where we have the ski resorts and they literally just closed last weekend. So people come in and they're like, no, 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 my hip pain, there's not an emotion there. I hit a tree or I fell or I did this. And it's like, yes, but you have to have that propensity for injury before it can occur.
mm,
And so if we can drop into our bodies and we'll do a scan tonight. I'll show everybody how you can do a little mini scan. But
mhm.
if we scan ourselves, and one of the biggest things that I love is like the Epsom salts baths, because the Epsom salts, number one, rebalances our, electromagnetic field, but it also gets in and releases toxins because our body is constantly finding ways to release toxins, and sometimes they just get stuck. And if we have a weakness in a particular area, those toxins are going to go to it.
So, how important is it to understand the root cause of the emotion? Is it something that, do we need all that information in history to get to it, to be able to move it in a direction that we prefer, or what
No,
comes up
we
for you?
don't.
Yeah.
We don't. When we bring our thought to something, we begin to change it because we have put our focus there. When we put our intention there, I always tell people, I mean, it's fun to know where all of this stuff comes from, but a lot of this healing we can do for ourselves. It's just that we've never been shown how to do it.
Mhm,
We feel like we have to go out to somebody else, but everybody listening, you can take care of a lot of your own body's issues just by listening, eating healthy, sleeping, which is a big one. I know with all the energetic changes and all the photons coming on the planet, a lot of people are experiencing tons of energy and they're having a hard time sleeping. But if we honor that process and find out what our own rhythm is, then, getting good sleep is, paramount. And then drinking our water. We don't even, a lot of times people just, they're so busy, they don't even think about drinking water.
mhm. Well, even with these grid realignments, as we're talking about them, yes, of course, the physical body, but it's also going to align with aspects of the holistic measure of our life. So our
Yes.
relationships, our relationship with prosperity and what that means at an essence
Yes.
level, not at a consumeristic level. Our opening our channel
Yeah.
to more clear communication with these energies that are really assisting us in co-creation. So yes, the physical body, but it extends
Right.
so many places.
Everything happens out here before it gets to here.
Mm.
And so it's just like what you're talking about. Now, those 12 layers that I was taught about, we have that 1 inch that goes around our body that's our etheric template. It's kind of like our body double, where we have all of our blueprint codes for the physical body. And we also have our spiritual codes. So when both of those epigenetics combine, that's how we get the cellular imprinting, etc. But then we have the emotional mental. Now, I was always taught emotional body, then the mental body, then the spiritual body. But what I've been shown is that all of these bodies are held together by an electromagnetic field, and they're kind of like, super magnets that holds everything together. But because of the shifts and the changes in consciousness that's been happening on this planet, the field between the emotional and the mental body has begun to soften. And so now it's one body with the higher octave being the highest of the mental and the lower octave being that lower emotional, that third dimensional rage, whatever it is, that we have. And everything in between now, this is all called the emotional mental body. Then they showed the next body is our astral body. And this astral body allows us to travel all of the various astral realms as low as what we would call stepping out into, like a third dimensional reality here on this planet, but in a holographic sense. Then we would have that second layer, which is where all the halls of learning, the Akashic records, and everything is found. And then in that highest layer, that goes all the way up to what some people call like heaven or paradise. But there's a lot of layers past that. That's just in the astral realm. Then there's a whole nother field that they called the matrixing. And these are matrices that are connected into the heart, they're connected into the throat, they're connected into the third eye, and they're connected into the crown. So there's 4 body matrices. And then there is the spiritual body, and then there's the the celestial body, and then the crystalline body and the crystalline shield. And so, working with the holographic field, we can go in there and we can identify where that dysfunction is. Because a lot of times, our belief systems, yes, they go down, but they also will vacillate because everything is vibration. There's always a contraction and an expansion of our field. And so, if we have lower vibrational thought forms, they also get pushed up here. And so they can begin to shift and change even our spiritual perspectives.
Amazing how that comes in. There's so many questions I want to ask you. It's y'all, before I get into more questions, I do want to take more I want to get into Q&A here in a little bit with Sheila because I want y'all to experience part of the process, which is also what's being offered in the special offer tonight. And again, we're going to go through that later. I haven't experienced a session with you in a while, so I'm definitely signing up to get my session. And because I know that there's, like many of y'all, I feel like something is cracking through, like we're being called to something else, like we're at this like crux of a new level of awakening, and to have this type of facilitation and this energetic attunement and consciousness harmonic that can happen is pretty profound. So the way that you're explaining this, Sheila, and again, how it brings in the languaging, how it pieces it together is so important because it allows the mind to relax into an innate truth that exists within us. It's like, wait, something's resonating true here for me. I know this, even though I may not know the structure of it.
Yeah.
And by just having that familiarity, there's an acceptance that facilitates a lot more rapid shifting in the positive direction.
Yeah. All of these, these subtle energies are what we're talking about, these subtle energies of our bodies and how they interact with each other, how they interact with the world around us. And so to be able to like clear, cleanse, decontaminate, release, realign, activate is so, so important because we want to really be aware of that interconnectedness of our energy fields that form this complex matrix or these grids because, you know, they really create everything, not just these subtle fields, yes, within our auric field create us, but they're also creating matter.
Mm,
Everything vibrates and pulsates and oscillates at different vibrations. And as it's doing so, it's in this constant state of creation. So it's really cool. We have to understand that these thoughts that we have are creating something because all of this gridding, all of this fabric of reality extends out into the universe, and the fabric of the universe extends out into source because it is source,
mm,
because we are co creators. So when we think thoughts, we're creating something somewhere. So we
mm.
really need to be careful what we're creating because even if we're thinking a gnarly thought, about war or this, that, and the other, whatever, it's still imprinting on our cellular structure. We're giving energy to that and actually helping to create that, even though we don't want anything like that to even be in our consciousness, but yet we are creating it.
Well, it's interesting, we talk about addressing blockages and patterns,
Yeah.
but they're not really blockages and patterns. They're just a preference of where we're directing our consciousness. Nothing's really stuck. Of course, the pattern of where we keep directing, like if we keep turning right to go to that one particular coffee shop on a daily basis, we're going to keep winding up there.
Right.
And
And
so
that's
we're right.
because, yeah, we create, neurological patterns in our brain. So we drive that street and our brain says turn left, turn right, and we go into the coffee shop because it does become a pattern. Patterns are one of the hardest things for us to break because they're so natural, they're innate.
Mm.
We really have to focus. I grew up in the time when they had those pot holders that you weave together like the little kids sets. I found one of those. I got them from my granddaughter. And they're like, oh yeah, these were hit back in the 60s. And I'm like, well, cool, I'll take one. I know I had to play with one. So anyway, you take one of these little pot holders. It's like a little, it's a like a rubber band, but it's made out of cloth. And you place one and then you weave it over top of each other. And that's what we're doing. If you think about how those little pot holders are made, one pattern, one thought goes this way, one goes this way, one thought goes this way. And the next thing you know, we've got this little pot holder. Well, that pot holder is a pattern. But if we begin to unwind each one of those little bands and start to take it out, like, oh, today I'm going to turn right instead of left.
Mm.
We start to create these new patterns until all of a sudden that pot holder is no more. You've just
Mm.
got all this series of threads.
Oh, amazing. It's y'all, it really can be that simple.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be something that, well, maybe if I get there eventually someday, hopefully, I don't know. It can be like, oh, here's the shift. Wow, something
Yeah.
again, I can't eat that food anymore. I can't smoke that cigarette anymore. I can't watch that TV show anymore, whatever it is, because it's not serving and the shifts can happen so rapidly. So
Mm.
Sheila, I'd love to open up so that people can
Oh, yeah.
experience a
Sure.
holographic grid realignment, perhaps. The special offer is a holographic grid realignment. April, buy mine, please. I want to book mine on the calendar soon. But I want some of y'all, well, April or Chris, either one of y'all, if you put this link for the special offer in the chat box, y'all can click on it and go through that there if you want to. Now, we're going to review it in a little bit, but if you want to book your sessions sooner rather than later, go ahead and click on it and sign up. But in the meantime, Sheila, I'd love to take some participants so we can guide them through and get a feel of what we're going to receive on these in these sessions. And also to, it always happens in the collective, Sheila. Whenever we show up and, I have a question, someone has a question, it winds up serving us. And if someone's stuck somewhere, sometimes y'all are just being the proxy for what so many of us are healing through as well. So it's a gift to be able to do this and a gift to have y'all on here. And let's start going to our Q&A people here. We all want to start turning on your videos as well. But Aparajita, if I can get you to unmute, let's get you to.
Yes,
Hi.
So you muted.
sorry.
There you go.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, there was some background noise, so I just tried to calm down. Thank you so much for letting me speak. So I just wanted to understand, like, is it also like, does it all means is it only the physical illnesses that we can deal with, or does it also apply to the energetically to other areas of our lives, like even the emotions that we are dealing with, and also different kinds of blocks we have in manifesting the kind of life we know that we can, but the blocks, we are aware of all that, but simply something is stopping, and it actually feels like I'm a different person, but I'm not able to reach there.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, remember a moment ago, I talked about those 12 different bodies. When I'm working and doing this particular piece of work, I'm going to have you to hold an intention. And then I will go into every single body that there is to find where the root cause of what that particular pattern is. And then I will share, I let you know, because I also have a healing team and they'll be telling me things. I'll be seeing them work around you. They may pull something out. Some of it may have to do with past lives. Some of it may have to do with current lives. Some of it may have to do with childhood. And some of it could just simply be, hey, this is a thought pattern that no longer serves you. And so then they begin to unweave that, just like I was talking about that they start to take that apart. So yes, it doesn't have to be a physical issue. It can be an emotional issue. Some people they just want to make sure they're on track with their soul mission, or they don't even know what their soul mission is. And so I will work with the team and we go in and we look in all of those bodies to find out what's going on that has kept you blocked from finding out what your soul mission, and we can also find out your soul mission, but it's important to find out what those blockages are, because it could be linked to other blockages in your life as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you.
Beautiful question. Sheila, I find that sometimes my own blockages are just blockages that I'm aware of that I just rather not deal with.
Yeah, me too. And that's true. It is true. Right? And a lot of those are fine. A lot of the blockages, they'll tell me, that's just human stuff. Let's work on something real. That's just human. Remember, all of this is holographic. Just blow it away. It's just a human thing. And that is really important for us to remember when we're here having this experience. It is real, man. It is visceral. I pinch myself. It hurts. We hurt, we ache when things happen to the people we love. However, yes, it is a simulation that we've chose to insert ourselves into. And if we can rise above that and we can remember that truly this is just in the mind of source, it really gives us a different perspective.
Well, and I'm also fine. I'm going to get some more Q&A, y'all. So y'all be patient with me, but I want to continue this conversation. Sheila, if you would have told me 15 years ago that I would be where I was 10 years ago, I would have been, oh my God, that's amazing. Yes, let me get there. So yes, if I could only get to that place. And now 10 years later or 15 years later, where I am now, and then I'm like, well, what's my block and what's holding me back? But 15 years ago, I couldn't have even dreamed
Right.
this space and this access and this empathy and my connection to my guides and the prosperity that shows up in ways that feel prosperous to me. What is it in our psyche or in our beingness that is like trying to excavate, like, or trying to like find the little dust bunny in the corner of the room, and somehow keeps us feeling like we haven't quite gotten there yet?
A lot of that has to do with healing. And one of the first ways I tell people that you will know that you need to heal something, now I'm not talking about a physical ache and pain. If there's somebody that can trigger you, or you watch the news and you get triggered, or a movie and you get triggered, that is an indication that there's something coming up in you that needs to be healed.
Mhm.
And so instead of being angry at a person, angry at a situation, drop into gratitude, number one, for that.
Yeah.
Shift your perspective. When you drop into gratitude, your energy begins to raise. So when we have these things that are going on, these dust bunnies that we're attaching our energy to, that pulls our energy down. And then we get frustrated, then we get aggravated. Well, those are all lower 3D octave feelings and emotions. But when we start to feel gratitude for that, it's like, oh, I just got that. They're trying to show me that whatever it is inside me needs to be healed. Then we become aware. After we become aware, then the next time that that happens, we immediately know. We don't have to get angry and go through that. We can know. Then the next time that that happens, it's like, I know what this is. And we begin to choose things differently. We begin to rewire our energetic responses. And when we do that, that raises our frequency. That in and of itself can start to heal patterns.
Mm. Amazing.
But I always tell people it is easy, but these cycles, I guarantee you, whatever you're working on is going to come around and around and around until the next time that it comes around, you have no response to it. And when
Mhm.
you have no response, it'll never happen in your life again.
Yeah, love that. And that's where it's taking us to.
Yeah.
It's really an act of love that these things are coming up, not an act of attrition, something against us. It's we should be celebrating these opportunities, especially by remembering that we came as souls to really purify this vessel in this particular lifetime with all these opportunities. So as those things trigger us, like, wow, amazing. Thank you. All right, how can I be with it? Oh, amazing. And who can I reach out to help me gain clarity or to help me calibrate to? Because none of us are doing this solo, y'all. And again, that's why we have this show. That's why I love introducing you uh, to others like Sheila. Or that's why I love having these transmissions, even these conversations, because it raises the frequency. It puts us in a harmonic where those things can lift without force, without judgment, without having to be at war with it, but
Right.
really from an understanding of the benevolence that is being engendered through it, all happening for us, not
Right.
against us.
Because, a lot of times, and then I'll be quiet, but a lot of times these things that are coming up really don't have anything to do with us. They
Mhm.
have to do with the genetics,
Mm.
and we're responding different than our mother or our father or our sister or our brother does. And every time we respond different, we start to break those patterns. When we break the patterns, then all of these generations are healed, including our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren.
Mhm. But that's the beautiful part, is that's a byproduct of us showing up
Yes.
for ourselves. If we think that we have to go heal our ancestry, nobody asked you to. Seriously. As a soul calling, you may feel that,
Mhm.
but really the focus is in healing this vessel and what's here. And organically, you can't help but to give from your overflow.
Mhm.
And that ripples out into everything, including your ancestry and your future ancestry, the legacy that you're leaving. It's becoming much more elegant in our awareness and
Mhm.
graceful. And again, you carry such a beautiful consciousness and ability to hold it for the transmutation of the density for others as well. So I love it. Y'all, we're going to get into special offer in a second. The link's in the chat box. It's a session with Sheila. I'm signing up for mine. I want to take another Q&A so you can get another example of what's possible. And let's go now to, is it Kelea? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Or please pronounce it when you come on so that I can honor your name and we all can on the call.
It's Kelly.
Kelly. Okay. Hey, Kelly.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What's your question for Sheila?
Well, if she could give me any guidance on my soul mission, that would be great. I feel a little lost.
Yeah, it takes more than just a second to do that, because when I work one-on-one with somebody, what we're doing is we're going through layers and layers, and I actually go in and to begin to read the epigenetic blueprint of the soul that's actually found within the etheric body layer. And so as I start to work with someone, I start to clear, I start to pull the energy in. Sometimes light language comes through. Who knows how it's going to begin to show up. But once that connection is made, then it's kind of like ping, like right now, my focus is on talking, answering questions, sharing information. And then when I'm working healing, it's like, bam, it's laser focus. So I can definitely work with you on that, but I can't do that right here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, part of your soul, can I help a little bit with that in the
Sure.
moment? And if we don't know, y'all, because we get into these mission driven and we know there's something
Right.
in it's like we want to have that intimate relate. It's like, what is that that's driving? But while we're discovering what's our purpose in the moment?
Yeah.
What's our purpose in the moment? And for Kelly, I would say for you would be to smile and beam that love energy from you for someone else to benefit from all of this love that you have inside of you that's real. And if you just practice that one breath for one moment at a time, you don't have to find your purpose, it'll find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And we all have, an energy about us that if it wasn't necessary to be here at this particular point in time, we wouldn't be even on this planet, because there are thousands of souls just waiting to come in and experience. So the very fact that you are here means the frequency that you're carrying right now is needed on the planet.
Amazing. And I want to give everyone on the call three things to do. Three things to do to help you to realign. And other than getting a special offer from Sheila and getting a session and going in, that's number 4 that I would highly recommend. And it's the same thing. Choose 3 things that you do on a daily basis as part of your routine and do it differently or replace it with something else. And shift up the energy, shift up the pattern, interrupt the normalcy to invite other energies to move through any lethargic energy that may be running in the systems. Like, I'm not happy, I don't know where to find it and all this, but we keep looking for it by repeating the same things over and over. So if you can really like go through and be the anthropologist of your life and see 3 things that you're just consistently doing over and over and over and over again. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. That's amazing, Tara. It's simple as that. But playing and dancing with the energies, to seeing what else can be new to create. So just something to recommend for everybody, and for something to begin to work with. And of course, there's a depth that I know Sheila's going to get into as well. Kelly, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for coming
You
on.
too. Thank you.
Okay, let's take one more call before we get into the special offer. Sarah Lynn, welcome to the call. And Sarah Lynn, can you unmute your microphone, please?
How's that? How's
It's
that?
wonderful. Yes. Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so very, very much. I don't believe in accidents or coincidences in life. Ever since the eclipse, the solar eclipse, I have been kind of zapped. Now, I wouldn't call it euphoria, but I would definitely call it bliss, a state of bliss. And sometimes I'm functioning in slow motion, and now I've got a lot more energy. But my question is, I've attracted this person into my life that I happen to love, and the feeling is mutual. And yet, would you believe their mother is a carbon copy in consciousness to my mother, who has gone to the other side? Now, this is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. And they are trying to block the relationship in any way they possibly can. And I'm just wondering, when this comes up, what is this really about? And how it's not disturbing my state of bliss from the solar eclipse, but it is something that I pray about, meditate about, really on a daily basis. And I find myself coming to the water, which is Lake Michigan for me, where I am right now, where I come to meditate and pray as often as I can. I'm just wondering what she's picking up in terms of energy about that.
One of the things that I would say that I was clearly hearing from my guidance is the relationship is actually triggering something in the other person. And this triggering is a lack within themselves of something that they see that they're not experiencing. And so it's coming up to be healed. It's coming up to be healed. But a lot of times there's generational gaps in the way that we think, we see, we speak, we operate. And that's kind of what's happening, in that if you sat down and said, oh yeah, we're talking about some triggers here, and the energetic frequency that we're putting off is too much for you to handle. Well, that's exactly what's happening. But you can look at that and you can offer and extend them love, because that's really what this is about. There's a trigger that's going on, and it's not even so much something personal, it's something that's personal within them. And so I know it's hard when people trigger us, or people are acting out against us, to say, man, this is an opportunity for healing, but this is an opportunity for you to be able to extend compassion, and for you to understand that the situation is triggering for them, which is bringing something up to heal. And if they continue to talk about it, and if you have the kind of relationship that where you could sit down and say, hey, I'm noticing that, whenever we're around, this behavior comes up. Is there something that I can help you with? Is there something that you need? Most of the time people are not used to having someone say, how can I be of service to you? Most people want something. They feel like people want something from them. But if you turn those tables and you come at the situation with love, and you say, how can I help you? Is there something I can do for you? It really does, turn the tables.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Beautiful. And blessings of love, of luck.
Yeah.
New love, by the way. How exciting. How exciting.
It
Right?
is.
I'm looking at you and
It
going,
is.
yes.
I know you've got this glow.
Mhm.
The endorphins in my brain are coming out to do a head dance.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
It
allow those
is.
endorphins
It is.
to beam from your heart at your new partner and at his mother. All of it. All of it.
Now, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
You have that
You
power.
could get up in the morning and say, what would it be like to be around her and she give me a big hug? So
Mhm.
when you do that, you're putting energy out, and you're creating a whole new reality to walk into.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes,
Well,
it
good for
is.
you.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right, love. Blessings to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bless you too. Love you.
Love you too. Hey, Hey, y'all, April, Chris, one of y'all put the link for the special offer in the chat box, please, because this offer is phenomenal. Y'all, the special offer to work with Sheila, it's on the website. If you'll click on it, there's realignments of our grid. Sheila,
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
everybody what they're going to receive and what we can bring to these sessions, because I'm obviously coming to one.
Right. Actually, it has, I believe it has your photo there. So it's just going to be very easy to find. And one of the things that you can expect to find with this is when you walk away, you're also going to have empowerment tools that you can continue this work for yourself and you can share it with other people. One of the things that I want to do is to help people to bring about their own healing, to teach people what it is that we need to do to be in service to others. And sometimes being in service to others is first we have to heal ourselves. We have to take care of what's at home, but then we'll have all this new energy that you're going to be able to share. And then with the meditation that we're going to do, we actually will break it up and there'll probably be 2 or 3 different ones. And it just depends. Sometimes there's one with somebody, sometimes there's multiples. It just depends. But you're going to have meditations that you can actually take back with you also, that you're going to be able to practice.
Amazing. And what comes through these sessions for different people, Sheila?
Oh my goodness. Everything from mental clarity to pain, physical pain release, emotional pain release. Some people say they sleep better. Some people have more energy. And I really think that it depends on the individual and where you are in your particular healing cycle and what you're ready to release, because I'm just going to serve as the catalyst. That's it. You're really doing this work. And I'm just going to be the person to walk you through this process that allows you to release and restore and to be able to heal.
In these sessions, is there like an alignment that comes in with perhaps guides or celestial beings or cosmic beings that come in also to, I'll call that they're ambassadors for the frequency of the healings that are coming through? And
Absolutely. Yeah. Your guides will come in. Mostly you'll have your current guides. A lot of times people have galactic guides that come in. Sometimes your own multidimensional aspects will come in and they'll identify themselves. A lot of times they will give names so you will know who's actually working with you. A lot of times as they're working on a blockage, they'll be like, oh, stars, this is from, a lifetime when X, Y, and Z happened. So you may get past life information, galactic life information. Sometimes they'll even give I always call it the spiritual vibrational frequency name, because as we began our individuation process with Source, these octaves create these sounds, and these sounds create what we would call names. And so sometimes they'll give, a name in the session, but everyone always at the end says, oh my gosh, I feel so much more relaxed. I'm released. I feel balanced. I feel grounded. I feel taller. A lot of people tell me they feel taller because they've had all this energy compressing down on them.
Again, what I do remember from my session the last time it was, again, that galactic connection. It was just so strong in that particular session. What's happening in your reality now with connections to guides and galactics and, having this awareness of this Andromedan essence or consciousness that runs through you? How's that forming in relationship to what's occurring in the field right now? And how are you translating that in your work?
Yeah. Well, on just a little side note, one of the things now that I was embracing all of the Andromedaness that I have, I'm like, I want to see my planet. I want to see this. Take me and show me. And they're like, you're coming from a biosphere. Your planet was destroyed, millions of years ago, but I did get a glimpse of that. And one of the things they told me, which is akin with many of our galactic family members, is because they have had travesties to happen in their past, they've got a really close eye on what's happening in this reality, because we have a couple different timelines that we're going. Now because we're all here together, we're all operating, we're moving in this higher timeline, but there is a timeline that where there is more of the, kind of destruction and that type of thing. One of the concerns was with the nuclear race, because a nuclear bomb doesn't just destroy its target, it destroys dimensions, it destroys realities, it destroys all of the beings, because we have interdimensional beings. We have whole cultures that are there. We have cultures inside the earth. We have cultures in these other dimensions, and they too get destroyed, and that ripples out into other planets. And so the thing that they assured me of is, because we're all here together, we're all having this conversation, we have thwarted that particular timeline. We're all moving into this higher timeline. And with all of the energies that's just happened, we have eclipses all the time. We have solar alignments. We have this, we have full moons, new moons. All this happens all the time. But the sequence and the energy and the location of where we are in the galaxy created this whole new set of energetic vibrations. And it wasn't so much about having a solar eclipse as it was creating a gateway for all this new solar light codes to come into the planet. And because of all the work you guys have been doing, you now are able to hold that energy. That's the important thing, because so many times what happens, we have these huge flushes of energy that comes across the planet, and everybody's like, oh, they're going every which way, and it knocks us around, but we're not able to absorb it. This time, people were like, boy, that was powerful. That was great. And now you're holding these higher light codes. The importance of that is that shifting and changing your own DNA structure. It's shifting and changing your own cellular structure. It's moving you in to a lighter state of being. So as we do these types of healings, and it's like every time we release something, we go up a little higher. Every time we release, we go up a little higher. We heal, we go up. And when I'm talking about healing, yes, sometimes there's the physical stuff, but I'm talking about healing these emotional hurts, healing these patterns that we've set up for ourselves, because we have now, there's no doubt about it. We set these up for ourselves to overcome, because the soul is in a constant state of expansion, a constant state of learning. And when you have walked through something, you're able to help somebody else. And so not only is this helping you, it's helping everybody else.
Amazing. So beautiful, y'all. All right, y'all. The session, $147, 2 payments. It's a 60-minute session. Is that right?
It is, yes.
60-minute session. The sessions, I'm assuming, will be recorded, so you can go back and listen.
I typically don't record my sessions, but I can.
Okay.
I can record. The thing of it
Yes.
is, here's what I always tell everybody. My team will go in and clear everything out once a week. So if you do want to record it, I will give you permission to record it, but record it on your computer. And when it comes up, I'll give you permission, just record on your computer. You find that in your downloads, and then you can just pull it and it's on your system, and you can watch it as many times as you want.
Experiences. Well, there you go. And again, y'all get to book your sessions, so take advantage of it. Again, the link's in the chat box. If you're listening on the replay, the link is also right underneath the video where you're listening to the replay. So I'm excited about my session. I'm excited for y'all as well. And Sheila, let's continue with some more Q&A.
Sure.
So Candace Davis, welcome to the call. What a great smile you have.
Ah, thanks. Welcome. So happy to be here. Thank you for taking my question. Hi, Sheila. So, a brief background. I had a dear friend, teacher, colleague of mine who transitioned yesterday. And prior to her transitioning, I hugged her, and I felt like I knew like that was going to be the last hug that I get from her. I can feel her. I can sense her. I know she's floating up there with the fairies and the dragons, right? And the people at my work, I feel like I'm carrying a lot of their grief, our students or teachers. So I actually get the joy of taking over her classes. And it's heavy. And one of my questions is that true? Am I really carrying their sort of energy and emotion in my field, or is it something else? And if so, how can I best kind of like you said, blow it off? And also like really weird, you're answering all of my questions because this exact thing happened to me 7 years ago this month. I'm like, oh goody. Yes. So what do I need to learn? Why this is coming around again. So those are my questions, if any of that made sense.
It did. And the first thing I can tell you is you're very empathic. And one of the ways that, a lot of times with empathic people, we tend to gather that energy in our field. And yes, you do, but you're more than empathic. Okay. You're kind of like a tuning fork. And when I say that, what happens is there are people on this planet that are able to do this clear cleansing reactivations for souls. All right. And souls being alive, disincarnate, you name it. But that energy is coming into you right here in the solar plexus. It comes in, it goes out your crown chakra, and then it spreads, back out. What's happening with you is you're bringing that grief in and you're holding it in that solar plexus. So that, that needs to be shifted and cleared. Okay. So you've got the ability to do this because you also have the ability to be a seer. You know things, you know that you know things, and it'll be time pretty soon for you to start stepping out on that. And as a seer, you've got this ability. Just turn your focus inward and drop into yourself, release that seal that's holding everything in and let that flow through because you are, kind of, they used to call them like soul leaders, that kind of, and it's got such a negative connotation. I don't even know what a good word for it is, but you clear that energy, but it is stuck in your field because you've got your own grief going.
Yeah.
One of the things you can also do is literally, take some salt water in a bottle and just kind of spray it in your field because that's going to release some of the stuff that's stuck here. But just drop inside yourself, go into that solar plexus, find where that plug is, pull that out, and just let that energy flow.
Okay. Yeah. I feel it's actually like by my kidney, like it wraps around. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that's okay. I can do that. And I'll take a salt
Good.
bath tonight too.
Good.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
All right, blessings to you and blessings on doulaing your friend through with your love and compassion. Okay, let's continue now. We've got two Lisas on. Let's go Lisa with the blonde hair. Welcome, Lisa.
Welcome. Thank you for taking my question. Sheila,
Hi.
you mentioned galactic influences that affect us here. I've been lately feeling like that there's quite a few galactic things influencing me that need to be healed. And so I wanted to see is my instinct correct here? And if it's a galactic influence where I don't have a memory right now of what it actually is, how would I deal with that?
Okay. So when you have a galactic influence, I call that a soul wound. That's a soul wound that you brought into this lifetime. Because your soul now is part of this physical form, the epigenetics of the soul begin to encroach and lock in place with the template of creation for the physical form. And that begins to imprint on your cellular structure. Okay. So in order to heal that wound, one of the things that you can be aware of is that in your life, there will be situations that come up that evoke similar feelings of what's happened out there in this lifetime, so that you can work through that and heal that. So if you start to see cycles that's occurring in your life, or if it's like, man, I just cleared that, how can it be here again? Then you can know that that is something that you have brought through that really needs to be cleared.
Got it.
And watch for those situations. Like if you say, you know, I understand I've got a soul wound. Maybe it's a fear of something. Okay. You brought that in with you. That's going to replicate itself somewhere in your third dimensional reality. So watch for that, embrace that, and heal that, release it so that you can also release this other.
Okay, so basically what I'm getting from what you're telling me is when stuff keeps repeating and one has the feeling of, I just healed this, I've healed this so many times and it's still replicating itself, that's a good indication that it can be a galactic pattern, a soul
Yes.
wound. Like
It
you call
will be a soul wound that you've brought in from a previous existence. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
You're
Sheila, how
very
do we get to
welcome.
the next step beyond identifying it? Because it's like huge progress, y'all, to be able to, if you've identified the pattern, it's like, what? Hold on a second. And to be able to see that dimension really requires a subtle shift of energy within yourself. So congratulations that you're noticing that. What's the next step after identifying the pattern?
Well, identifying the pattern, then recognizing when it's beginning to come up, like we were just talking about. So if you start to see those patterns and you say, aha, then what you have to do is find out and break those patterns down. And most people are like, I just want to get rid of the pattern.
Right.
What is the pattern? How does it make you feel? Are you drained? Are you energized? Do you hurt? What's all the emotions? And break that down, because when you do, then you'll see, this is just usable chunks. And also for me, honestly, what I keep trying to tell don't drop into it. This is a human thing. So allow that healing to occur. Maybe it's something that it keeps coming around because it's like, you want to heal it, but you really don't want to release it. You know, a lot of times we don't want to release something because if you release it, maybe there goes a piece of your identity. Or if you release it, what's next? You know, releasing something can be really scary too.
And then the releasing aspect also, it's when we identify the pattern and again, the fear of releasing, there's a subconscious awareness that that pattern has served you in some way. And so, why did it serve me? And I'm going to let it go. So when we find those patterns from the very beginning with the awareness that it has served us, we may not be aware of it, but it has served us. If we go in with gratitude instead of disdain and anger and work against it, it's like, oh, wow, it's revealing itself and it's something's wanting, it's ready to transition because it's loving me into the transition of me as well. And so when we approach all those things, y'all, not with the element of me against that, us against them, good against bad, but really with the compassion and understanding. Again, the grace flows with that grace and with that compassion and understanding. So important to really understand that. And again, how quickly when we hold that frequency, these things can transmute for the evolution of that energy and for ourselves as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much. Lisa, I don't want to keep you hanging because it's not fair when I call on one Lisa and your heart kind of jumps and then you don't think it's you. So let's go to you.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
So I have a question. Just last night I had a dream and it was of a man sitting across from me, and I've never had a more vivid dream. I could see this person's face like I'm looking at anyone on here. Usually when you have a dream, you know, you don't see it's a very blurry type of, so I don't know. I'm not getting any idea of who this person is. I'm not sure if that's something you could answer.
How did you feel about the person?
Hmm.
I guess intrigued.
Okay. So there wasn't any fear or trepidation?
No, nothing.
Okay,
It
good.
was just like, wow, who is this person? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, it's always easier when our conscious mind is at rest for our guides, our angels, our multidimensional aspect, loved ones to reach us. Okay. And so this person, and I don't know without really jumping into that, but this person could have been someone who's been trying to reach you for some time. And you now are ready and receptive to receive whatever it is that they're wanting to share. It could be a guide. You never know.
Yeah, it's not anyone that has passed. It wasn't a familiar face. But he just didn't say a word, just stared, and I think maybe smiled. And I was just enjoying the interaction, even though there was no words. It's very interesting.
Well, the next time they come back, ask them, hey, who are you and what do you want? Always like, who are you? What's going on here?
I tried that during the day today. I haven't gotten anything yet. So
Well, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
amazing.
good.
Sounds like
Good
you know what
luck
to do.
with that.
Yeah.
That's cool that they're reaching out to you that way.
Hmm. And they'll keep reaching out until we get it. That I know.
oh,
That
okay.
I know. And it may not be the way that we think, but it comes around, or the way that, oh my God, how wonderful that esoteric experience. So it's pretty amazing. Sheila, I love also the asking what it is that you want. So how many of y'all maybe feel spirit and don't know how to interact with it, or feel something it's like, oh, it's kind of weird and I just don't want to feel it anymore. But if we actually pause and go, who are you? What do you want? And be in
Just
relationship with
remember,
it. Yeah.
they're energetic forms also.
Yeah, it's so important. Again, it's like we really get to break down the superstitions that we were taught and learn how to relate with these energies in new ways. And there can be funky, dense energies and super illuminated light energy coming through.
Yeah.
And both can be equally as intimidating.
Yes.
It really can. And so learning to how to have authentic relating, authentic conversation. Who are you? Why are you here? Okay, you can come in, or no, you can't.
Right.
What do you want from me? What are you trying to tell me?
Right.
Let's normalize these conversations because y'all, they're real.
Absolutely. And I love the word normalize, because as we continue to progress, all of this stuff we're talking about is the norm, and we are all like, oh, this is so new and this is cool and all this stuff. Guess what? We're actually just dropping back into what we already know. We're just embracing a higher aspect of ourselves, because there's nothing that we need to do to progress to these higher states than accept that we're already there. Because we are. We're projecting ourselves down into these lower vibrational forms, but we're already there. We're already everything we want to be. Now we just need to remember that, act on it, and drop back into it.
Y'all, it's practical steps. Practical. But if we practice the practical and we bring awareness and our confidence and we build relationship, it's the places we get to go, even more than what we believe where we can go to now, no matter where we are. It's absolutely amazing. Sheila, you mentioned light language before, and they come through in sessions.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What's that
And
light?
a lot of times when the light language will come through, it will actually activate something in you, so that if you are not speaking light language, you'll begin to speak light language. So it just, sometimes the light language will come through because it's a different aspect. It's kind of like channeling that energy through, and they're actually doing the work. Because sometimes I'm slower than they are. You know, they're just like, get out of the way, get out of the way, let me do this.
Straight through the chat. That's
right.
amazing. Y'all, whether you experience light language, the recalibration, it's
Yes.
Sheila's energy is going to show up specifically for you of
You.
what's just perfect in alignment for you at the moment. And it's wonderful. Again, I'm excited to experience my next session with Sheila. And I hope that y'all have an opportunity to do it as well. So again, the link is in the chat box. Click on that. It's $147 for a 60-minute session. You can break it down in 2 payments if that makes it more accessible to you. And what a wonderful experience that I just know that you're going to have with that session. So I hope you take advantage of the special offers that we get to promote here on Beyond the Ordinary, truly to serve each and every one of you as you're called to reach out for assistance or alignment with someone who can hold the field where you are and where you're going, and allow and facilitate what else is possible in your personal evolution and expansion. All right, y'all, let's continue with questions here. Colleen wants to know, how do you know if you should heal something or release something?
That's really good. If you need to release something, that typically is a thought form that's like a repetitive thinking pattern. Okay. It's like, this happens, I always respond this way. Just release that, you know, like someone said, brush with your left hand, you know, brush your teeth with your left hand. Begin to do something different. Okay. If something needs to be healed, it literally, you will feel that viscerally. Now, you can also feel this other viscerally, but I'm talking about when you really need to release something, or something really needs to be healed, you're going to feel it inside the body. You're going to know there's something that comes up. If you are provoked, if you get angry, if you're being frustrated, if you start to feel these lower vibrational frequencies working in your body, that's something that needs to be healed. Okay, we can say, oh yeah, we're going to release it all day long, but we need to heal it. And some of the things that we need to release, you know, they just don't serve us anymore. You know, like it's like, I come in and I sit down, first thing I do is watch TV, or I'll watch the news. Don't watch the news. But if you come in and you watch the news, turn it off. Okay, that's a pattern that you can just release. Just release it. Unplug the TV, get rid of it. You know, get rid of the subscription. You know, you take action on those things that need to be released.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Sheila. And Colleen, thank you so much for your question. All right, let's go now to Christine. Welcome to the call.
Thank you, John. And Sheila, I just from that work that you did here, I came into a really much better place than what I've been feeling and being in like for a long time. And I've been like keep dropping into this kind of grief and pain inside, and which I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from. But I do want to ask you a question of how might I maybe keep this lighter, clearer energy? And one of the things that I have concerns of is when I first met my husband, I felt like a pain. Sometimes when we're interacting, I just feel this heart pain. And I don't really understand it. And I just don't want to, like, if that was re-energizing this trauma or pain, I don't want to keep going there. Is there something I can do?
Okay, one of the things, if you are feeling a heart pain, try to identify that for yourself. What is that pain? And is that pain because of a way that you are being made to feel? Is it perceptions that you're holding about yourself? Are there thought patterns that you're thinking about yourself that need to be healed? Is this bringing up childhood things that really were not resolved? You know, try to break that down and find out, when did you first have that feeling? Okay. If it's something that you're feeling only with a particular person, and believe me, I'm not saying go out and leave a partner or anything like that or quit a job. I'm not saying that. But a lot of times we have to release things in our lives in order to break the contract. Sometimes we have contracts that we make to each other, and I shouldn't say break. Contracts run a cycle in our lives, and sometimes a contract is up. Okay. Sometimes we have friends that are in our lives, and it's like all of a sudden you really start growing apart. Nothing's wrong, but you just grow apart. That's when a contract has ended. You were together for a certain purpose, you created a certain energy together, and now you're both going your way and spreading different energy. But when you have a pain, when you're with someone, if it's not a good pain, try to identify that pain. What is it? Okay.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much.
One thing I do want to ask you, please look at, you said that you feel better, you feel lighter. So what shifted for you? You know, what has shifted? Was it a thought perception? Was it a realization that happened? And if it was a realization, then remember to keep thinking about that. Oh, yes, this is a human thing. Oh, yes, this is whatever it is. You know, try to identify where that shift happened.
Beautiful. And I would invite the realization. I would invite the perception also, and also consider the environments. Is there something in the resonance of the environment that is provided here in the slowness that you're perceiving that allows you to relax enough to come back to yourself? And maybe that's being asked for as well. So it's environmental influences are real, y'all. And it's important that we choose where we're investing our time, our energy, which is the most precious resource that we have.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Okay, let's see. Sheila, I feel like I'd like to get like a State of the Union download from you before we end the call today. And before we do that, again, it's like, what are you perceiving? What's activating? What's like the theme in the current right now that's inviting us into growth that we're ready to experience? And before we get into that, y'all, the link again to the one-on-one session with Sheila is in the chat box. You can always access the special offers by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And for Sheila's, you'll see her picture, you'll see a special offer button, click on that. Super easy checkout, and you'll be able to book your session and have your one-on-one time. Again, 60 minutes with Sheila on that. So again, do take advantage of that. And the replay for today's call, we'll send out an email a little bit later. And you can always access replays as well by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replays. And again, Sheila, the State of the Union, what are you seeing is happening in the field right now?
Overall, in the field, there is so much more light. You know, it even as little as 6 months ago, there was a lot of light, but there was this like almost like this fog that was underneath. This fog is starting to dissipate. And that to me means that we are not just being the light, we're anchoring the light. And as we anchor the light onto the planet shifts, our reality shifts, humanity shifts, our friends and family. Have you ever had those days? It's like, wow, everybody just seems nicer today. Well, what shifted in you? You know, people tell me that all the time. I can't understand. Everybody's so much more friendly, but we're anchoring that energy. The Galactics are here to support us. They're everywhere. I mean, I am so surprised at the number of people that I talk to every day that are having direct contact. They're being taken aboard craft, whether it's in their daytime, whether it's in their dream time, whether it's in their meditations. They're getting tons of information, tons of messages. My collective is more vivid to me than ever. Sometimes I'm driving down the road listening to a song and I just start speaking light language. And it's because they're here, they're supporting us. Everybody is being called into the embracement of their multidimensionality. You know, it used to be when I would work with people, they would say, gosh, what's my past lives? Now everybody's like, what's my galactic lives? What where are we headed? Where are we going? That's exciting to me. That's not just a shift of some kind of a fad. That's a raising of a vibration. And that's happening everywhere. And my collective is telling me that we are on a fast pace now, that every day exponentially, more and more people are waking up, more and more people are shifting. And the other thing I have to say is just like, you know, we really don't have to create something to be what we want. We just have to embrace that which we already are. And more people are doing that. And that's why everybody on this call is at least fourth dimensional perceptive consciousness. Many are 5, 6, and 7. And we are shifting and we are changing and we are becoming all of those ones that we've been waiting for. We are those people. We are our own guides. We are source energy. And we are recognizing that. And that is so empowering. I see that everywhere that I go with people that I talk with. Everybody is talking about this shift of perceptions. And we're going to shift planets. Well, in a way, we kind of are. But the shifting was that timeline. Okay? Gaia has awoken. Gaia knows who she is. She's moving from a 7th density into an 8th density. And guess what? We're moving with her. That's what's exciting. And if we don't have super major shifts like in the next 5 or 6 years, I will be dumbfounded. I'll come back and say, I don't know what we did or what happened, but we are shifting so quickly. I truly expect big things to come. This is a year of it's called the unveilment, is what my collective is calling it, the unveilment, that those things that have been hidden are coming to light. And when those things that were hidden are coming to light, yeah, there's going to be a little shakeup because it's like, I didn't know that was there. Just like, we're moving furniture, we see all the dust. It's like, it's the same thing. We're going to be surprised by the things that we start to see, what we would think of evil and corruption and those kinds of things. But guess what? We don't have to focus on that because we know that's coming to light because there is more light. These things will begin to dissipate. Heaven is on earth. We just have to embrace it.
Amazing. Love that message and that awareness. Does that excite y'all? Does that scare y'all? Hopefully it excites you, right? But change can be scary, y'all. Change can be scary. And I only say that to prod you into playfulness with it, to bring it into lightness, to hold the 5-year-old who's afraid to open the little closet door a little bit and go, we gotcha. Because it's really you're holding your own hand now through that closet door with the perception of the 5-year-old doesn't have to be afraid anymore. It's exciting times. And when you do open it, you realize the gifts that are inside rather than the worst fear that you anticipated. It's again, the shift of awareness and what's awakening is exciting. It's beautiful. And it's beyond hopeful. It's just enlivening. I love what you're sharing and how you're sharing it, Sheila. And again, your awareness
Thank you.
of what we're all cultivating together. So thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for this generous special offer with the private sessions. It's been amazing.
Thank you. I always love talking with you. We have such good conversations, and thank you everybody for being here. Much love.
All right. Sending all y'all my love, blessings, namaste. I'll see you on the next call.